So, about nearly a week ago, I made my first video on TF2 Classified, and, well, that video was my first impressions, and for the most part, I definitely enjoyed that mod a lot. I thought it was a very good way to experience TF2 in a whole new way, what TF2 was like in its old days, but I've been playing that game like almost daily for the past week, so for all this week, and for this video, I want to give my own personal thoughts. I want to cover how good this mod is, and discuss what's good, what's not good about it, and tell you if you should try this mod. So yeah, let's talk about this mod. It's been almost a week since me making my first video on it. Now, you probably didn't see that video I made last week, and you're probably wondering, well, what is TF2 Classified? Well, as the name implies, it's a mod for Team Fortress 2 that, well, from the looks of it, in my opinion, it feels like almost an emulation of what TF2 was like in its post-launch era. Well, more specifically, the 2008 to 2009 era, so essentially sort of around the Gold Rush to Sniper vs. Spy update, something like that. So it has the overall gameplay is more like olden TF2. So back when you didn't have as many weapons, you didn't have as many hats. Like in fact, this mod has none. And also there was no matchmaking, and not even the old quick play from before you meet your match, which was by the way added in the Uber update. So instead, it's all about just a community server list, and you just manually find what server you want to play. So at its core, that's what TF2 Classified is, and it also had some extra stuff, like some extra game modes, some extra weapons, new maps, so yeah, all the cool stuff you'd see in this mod, so it's not just fully one-to-one 2008 to 2009 TF2, and I guess that's more the point, because this mod originally was called TF2 Classic, but I feel like Valve may have made the devs change it because they thought it would be too confusing with TF Classic, which was TF1, which released way back in 1999, by the way, as sort of a mod for Half-Life, or at least an official mod for Half-Life, because it was running on Gold Source. And well, TF2 is running on Source Engine like Half-Life 2. That's beyond the point. Now, as I said earlier, this mod adds in some new weapons, and there are some that did make a return. Of course, those are the flare gun, the gunboats, the sandwich, the Kritzkrieg, and the huntsman. So yeah, that's 5 weapons that return, and they have some reworks and nerfs, like the sandwich does not heal as much health as it does in actual TF2. I mean, obviously in vanilla TF2 would just restore you fully, but here in Classified, you only get 120 health when you actually eat it, so it's more like the second banana, if anything. So yeah, those weapons do get some nerfs, but as I said, there's new weapons, and there's obviously not as many weapons, but there's still some, like Scout gets 2 weapons, for example. There was the nail gun, which originally was going to be in vanilla TF2. It was going to be Scout's primary, but that got cut. And there's also the brick, which would be a throwable item, which you're seeing in the background footage, by the way. It's essentially like the flying guillotine, except it doesn't do bleed. And you can think of the nail gun as kind of like the shortstop, but it's automatic and has projectiles instead of hit scan. So yeah, it's about as effective as the actual shortstop. Maybe a bit more effective, but as far as I know, I haven't gotten good mileage out of it. And that's just Scout. Heavy, for example, gets something like the anti-aircraft gun, which works kind of like the Devastator from Serious Sam 3, where it shoots mini explosives very rapidly. Pretty cool weapon, in my opinion. And there's also the Rejuvenator, which shoots out small healing balls, kind of like the Crusader's crossbow in actual TF2. Just it doesn't damage enemies, and its uber charge is like Splatoon 3's Big Bubbler, where it's just a bubble shield that protects everything. So yeah, and I could go on, but I think you get the gist of it, and I think it's better for you to kind of like experience these weapons for yourself. And there isn't really a weapon that's strictly overpowered by any means. I mean, there's some weapons like the hunting rifle that Sniper has, which is kind of like the sniper rifle, except it shoots more rapidly without needing to charge. And on the surface, it does only do 120 damage when you headshot, but because you can fire rapidly, there's basically less. It's basically a less punishing weapon than the stock sniper rifle. So and also that means you can fire off multiple headshots at once too, which can be pretty devastating if you're actually good with it. Which I'm not as good with aiming at sniper, but I find myself doing well for the most part. So for the most part, pretty much all the weapons are relatively useful in their own way. They serve their own purpose without necessarily being strictly OP or kind of useless. So yeah, just find one that suits you the most. That's basically it. Just like vanilla TF2. Now, not only there are new weapons in Classified, but there's also some new game modes, and with that, there also comes new maps, which, of course, the pre-existing game modes do already have new game modes, like there's Judd for Payload, which is an Egypt-style payload map, but again, there's also some new game modes added in, which the ones I mainly thought of are VIP, which if you don't know what that is, I have it on the background footage. Um, it's kind of like Payload, except instead of pushing the cart to its final destination, instead, you have to guide your VIP to his final destination, which, well, in the VIP's case, it's a car you have to get into, and it's basically a hybrid between a control point and payload almost, where you have the VIP, which acts as your payload, which you can also kill, and then you also have control points as well that your VIP has to stand on for your team to capture. And overall, it's a really interesting mode, and it was originally going to be in base TF2, but it got cut and evolved into Payload as we know it. So again, this is another instance of cut content going in this mod, which is again kind of this mod's strength. And there's also variations of game modes too, like what you're seeing on the background footage. This is actually VIP race, where it's basically VIP but as payload race. And earlier, as you saw in the background footage, there's domination, which is kind of like King of the Hill, except there's multiple points, you score points as you have hold of your points, and team that gets a certain number of points will win. And overall, I like domination as well. It's just King of the Hill, but a different taste because it's not timer based, and it's instead point based, which means it can last way longer depending on how things go. And things can be really, really tight as well, especially when you make a very good turnaround. So, yeah, there's some good new game modes, so add some more variety, especially with the new maps they've added in as well. And there's also something else pretty surprising, which I decided to give its own topic, which we'll get to right now. There is even 4-player game modes. Yes, that's right. There are game modes where you're now playing against 3 other teams. So there's not just blue and red, but we also got yellow and green. And there's a few game modes dedicated to 4 teams. What you're seeing on screen is 4-team arena, which is, well, basically just normal arena where it's last team standing wins with no respawning. And I also have footage of 4-player domination, which is the same thing as domination, except it's 4 teams, which I believe I have made a video on. Um, I don't think I did. I don't know. I may have to check. I could have sworn I did, or at least intended to, but didn't in the end. I'm not too sure. Um, so yeah, and I also saw a server that was having a 4-team VIP mode active, which is VIP race but with 4 players. So yeah, and there's other four-player team modes that exist. So yeah, if you just are for some reason tired of playing, you know, regular two-team modes in TF2, then well, then hey, there's four-team modes again against yellow and green. So yeah, and overall, this is definitely way more fun than I expected. And of course, four-team arena can get pretty tense because there's no respawning, but it can still feel fun and pretty rewarding when you actually get a win. So yeah, these four-team game modes are genuinely really fun in my opinion. Like I never thought it would be this fun, but hey, here we are. So it all does look all fine and dandy at first, but like anything else, it's all not sunshine and rainbows. There's definitely a few minor drawbacks from this. Of course, some are just oddly specific for some people, but I still think it's worth mentioning them because why not? So, obviously, because it's a simulation of olden day TF2, there's no cosmetics, there's no weapons like the Force of Nature or Soda Popper, or no Machina, no Dead Ringer, no Kunai, no Scorch Shot, no Flog, none of that. None of that is here, and which you. Of course, there's some novelty seen with that to playing without Dead Ringer being active because you don't want to see like Den Ring or spies just faking their death all the time because everyone's just going to catch on. You know what John Tohill said in his video on the Den Ringer: spies that use it too much get too complacent and become predictable, which always kind of feels like that's a true case for me when I play vanilla TF2. And there's also some very, very specific drawbacks, like, as I said, there's no matchmaking, and again, no form of quick play, like, not even the master config quick play like vanilla TF2 has. And, well, yes, that thing doesn't really work, but it still would be nice to kind of see a sort of matchmaking for classified, even if it's like a third party option like config. I just still like that idea, just because having to manually find a server you want for like a vanilla experience. That's not something I personally want to do, and yet I kind of just have to. I have no choice. So, meanwhile, when you look at casual in vanilla TF2, it's just straight plug and play. You just pick what mats you want to play, start a queue, and then you'll be ready to go in like 1 minute at best. So yeah, I mean, sure, you could just find a game and classified quicker when you're looking at community servers, but I don't know. It's just, it's not something everyone wants to do, especially like new players. They just want to play TF2. They don't want to look at the right server that's right for them, if you know what I mean. So, casual is overall more convenient. I mean, yeah, it's a mixed bag here and there, but I think it still works just fine. But again, with Classified being a very vanilla as being like olden day experience, I don't think personally it's a major deal, but you're someone may have issue with it, and I can totally understand why. So overall, aside from those minor downsides, TF2 Classified is really surprised me a lot. I never thought a mod for TF2 would be nearly as good as the vanilla game. Like, I mean, sure, it may not really, it's not definitely not going to replace vanilla TF2 for me like at all. It's TF2 is really a game that's really just resonated with me for many many years. So definitely nothing's gonna replace it for me, not even this mod, but hey, I still enjoy it and I'll still like keep playing a lot, sometimes when I just wanna feel like playing a different version of my favorite game of all time, which TF2 is, then hey, I'll pick classified. I'll find a way to enjoy this game and squeeze as much fun as I can get out of TF2. And it's really hasn't been possible. It really wouldn't be possible if it weren't for the SDK being released. Okay, maybe not for Classified's case. I heard development did start as back as 2014, but I wouldn't know how they would actually get that working. But hey, with the TF2 SDK out now, there's still definitely gonna be some mods for TF2 that people will like there's TF2 Gold Rush. Okay, probably not that one. And there's also Open Fortress, which I haven't tried that. I've heard good and bad things about it, but I'm not sure if I would try it. But for the most part, if you had to pick a mod for TF2, I would definitely recommend Classified. It's really good. It's kind of like a what if for TF2. You know, if Valve didn't bother adding any like quick play, you know, they kept it into its original intended roots. That's really what Classified always feels like to me. And of course, there's other kinds of mods that could be, you know, what ifs, like a mod for Half-Life 2. You know, what if Half-Life 2 played a bit more something like a modern military simulator shooter like Call of Duty? So hey, it's all these mods that just really kind of spice up the experience, you know, if you're just tired of the base game and want something different. And hey, Classified is definitely that. So with that, that pretty much concludes this video. If you found it useful, why not download the mod yourself if you haven't already, or show this video to someone else that likes TF2 and wants something different. You know, who knows? Maybe you can get all your friends to play TF2 and you'll tell them it was me that told you to. You know? If there's gonna be one person that made Classified very, very popular, then well, it's probably gonna be me. And probably other people that make videos on this, because that's what we do. We spread influence. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, that's basically all I got to say, so thanks for watching.